Peyote. What is it? Why is it used? What are the effects? Stay tuned to find out tonight on the Peyote Tales. Few would gaze upon such a compelling specimen and not be inclined to investigate. However, do not be deceived by its condensed appearance or its alluring flowers. This plant is certain to induce an unforgettable and potentially uncontrollable psychedelic trip if it's consumed by a naive or yellow-bellied individual. For over 50 centuries, Laurophora williamsi, more commonly known as the peyote cactus, has managed to continuously establish itself as a focal point of religious ceremonies for many indigenous groups and tribes of both southwestern North America and northern Mexico. When it was first discovered that peyote ingestion could produce profound hallucinatory visions by chewing its buttons, soaking then drinking as a liquid, or by smoking as a powder, each native tribe, most notably the Huichol, Tonkawa, and Aztecs, wasted no time in establishing the mind-altering substance as a cherished spiritual item and medicine. This excursion brought on by eating or drinking the cacti can be explained through its headlining element called mescaline. Mescaline alters consciousness through a large boost in serotonin and dopamine being attached to the brain's receptors. Although generally thought of as desired chemicals, a traditional dosage equaling only 200 to 400 milligrams can introduce several unsavory responses. This long list of side effects includes vomiting, heightened body temperature, vivid hallucinations, and flawed motor coordination, all being likely results within the realm of possibilities during a bad trip. Those who have participated in peyote rituals have reported seeing music, hearing colors, observing geometric pattern visions, and even going entirely numb or tense, as just a few of the possible reactions amongst the outcomes. Despite a lack of obvious benefits to using the drug, in ancient times, the religious need to speak to sacred gods was plenty of incentive to master and experience these mental adventures. The Tonkawa tribe, in spite of its relatively young age in comparison to other major tribes, still must be considered as a significant proponent for peyote usage during its religious ceremony, originally named water drum dance. In Morris Edward Opler's publication of ancient Tonkawa member Samuel Kenoy's autobiographical account, which narrates these sacred ceremonies, Kenoy vividly describes the ceremony itself. Kenoy notes that the events were held in a white teepee and that no women were allowed. He mentions that each man sings and drums along to 4 songs. When that man gets through with the drum and song, he takes the gourd that has some rattles inside and passes the drum along. The highlighting of the rattle and drum that accompany the songs performed during the all-night peyote ceremony are of particular interest because of their existence as otherwise scarce Tonkawa peyote artifacts. As the singing continues, the basket filled with peyote would begin to be passed around the circle of men. In the Tonkawa routine, peyote was digested by taking one in the mouth and cracking it, then chewing until it is soft so it can be digested. The Aztecs held somewhat similar peyote rituals, but established a heavier emphasis on the substance's medicinal utilization. This yielded equally intriguing processes, such as application as an unlikely surgical anesthetic during an assortment of emergencies, like bone fractures, gout, rheumatism, and even brain surgery, as early as 1000 BC. Because of the cacti's psychedelic trance that it lays upon all users, the Aztecs discovered this status could serve as a solution to even fever systems, effectively also making it a valid fever reducer. Leftover artifacts such as Aztec-built statues of gods worshipped during their ancient time periods, like Peyote and Mayahuel, who according to Aztec mythology discovered peyote, serve as an example for how far this association between peyote and the native gods could command its users. An overview of ancient peyote practices would not be complete without mentioning the Huichol culture, as their unrivaled peyote-inspired art has made way for yet another riveting artifact that illustrates their own people's experiences and experimentations with our famous cactus. In an ancient description of his culture's hunt for the prize cacti, Huichol tribe member Mario Gomez Mayorga provides modern comprehension as to how the drug became as powerful as it is today. Mayorga writes that over 4,000 years ago, the tribe's land faced a deadly drought, yet one day a huge white deer appeared, not thirsty nor weak. The warriors took up their bows and arrows and hunted for this animal, for days and days, and finally arrived to the desert. They shoot 2 arrows into its heart, and the animal falls dead. But when they arrive to the body, they find it was not deer, it was a peyote. After collecting and surviving upon this mysterious peyote, it began to grow into its now worshipped status for the ritual. Surprisingly, the trend of Laurophora williamsi, existing primarily as a pharmaceutical, continued, even earning its own Spanish verb, which translates to treating one's self with peyote. Huichol healers eventually became so skillful with the psychedelic that previously fatal occurrences, namely scorpion and snake bites, influenza, intestinal disorders, and arthritis, became increasingly manageable and curable. As peyote began to touch more tribe members' lives, religiously, spiritually, and medicinally, homage was paid through paintings and bead art. Each piece of art was unique and was directly inspired by the consumption of peyote during religious rites. Many still survive today as priceless museum artifacts all across the Southwest.